Good morning. Welcome to ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. My name is Grace.
And this is Gowri.
How are you, Gowri, this morning?
I'm okay.
I'm a bit tired, but
A
from
bit
the last
tired,
night,
yeah.
yes.
You were at a performance last night,
Yes,
and we
that's
were all
correct.
there to support you because we are great colleagues. We are supportive people.
You guys
here
were
in
such a
Jordan,
beautiful
ASEAN.
audience. Yes.
But you were fantastic. I mean, it's not my first time seeing you perform, but the energy last night was great. It was upbeat. You guys
Mhm.
did something new. You did some dubstep as well.
Oh, yes,
away
you
from
remember.
I'm a big music fan, so.
Yeah, I could tell from how you dressed up yesterday,
Oh,
and I
okay,
was
let's
so
not talk
excited.
about that.
Okay, let's not talk about it. Moving on. Talking about all those energy, all those vibes we are talking about. I have this very interesting news about football.
Oh, football.
Mhm,
How
your favorite
exciting.
topic.
That's right.
So here it says Diego Costa faces France, hoping to erase Spain's World Cup nightmare. Oh no, what's happening right here? What's happening with this Spain right now?
So Spain faced France last night. I'm so bad with tongue twisters. And they were hoping to erase their World Cup nightmare, as reported by Sky Sports here. But that did not happen. Instead of trying to make up for the World Cup loss, they lost again.
They lost
And
again.
I'm really upset about this. I know I'm laughing right now, but it's a sad laughter because
So
Spain is
you-
my favorite team.
So
and
you're supporting Spain.
I've always supported Spain and Germany, but yeah, I just feel so bad for Spain.
So it must be such a heartbreaking news for you.
It is, and 1-0.
1-0.
Yes,
Oh
that
dear.
is a bit unacceptable for me. I mean, I know that a couple of really important players actually retired after the World Cup, but even then, I mean, all those players, they didn't do very well either, and it seems that France is really stepping up their game.
Well, I can also see here the Chelsea striker was in the squad which crashed out in the group stage in Brazil.
That's right. You are talking about Diego Costa.
Yes, Diego Costa.
Who is previously from Atletico Madrid, and he just moved to Chelsea. And surprisingly, he's actually doing really well in Chelsea. He scored a few goals. He's assisted, and he's doing really well. But I don't know why, when it comes to World Cup, even during the World Cup, he didn't score, and this international match, he didn't score. So it seems like he's another Lionel Messi who can only do well in their club, not internationally. So they really have to fix their problem here.
It looks like he has some kind of zings when it comes to big matches
A
internationally.
lot of players,
perhaps.
actually, not just Costa, not just Messi, but there are also, of course, all those consistent players who do well in the World Cup and also in the league games.
Oh no. And also Costa is in the pole position, is it?
In the what?
On the pole position to make the striking spot in the new look team in his own.
Well, yeah, he's the striker,
Mhm.
as he has always been, and he's actually a pretty much sought after striker, even back in the Spanish league, which I follow. He is a very fierce striker. When my team goes up against him, I'm always looking out for Costa. Like, damn it, Costa is gonna ruin this for us.
So his
So
name was
it
Diego
is-
Costa.
It is so. It is a bit shocking for me that that we cannot even score one goal. Come on.
And then that was 1-0. Well, coming all the way to Malaysia now, the next topic we're going to talk about is about water leaking pipes.
Yes.
So 4.27 billion liters water wasted via leaking pipes. What's happening right here?
Apparently, we have 4.27 billion liters of treated water, which is enough to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pools,
Wow.
and is also enough to keep Perlis, the state, going for 53 days. Has been leaking out of the country's aging pipe system every day.
Every day.
So,
I mean, if saved, the amount of water could just ease stress the water supplies in Klang Valley, as fears of shortage and rationing loom dangerously right now nowadays. I faced a few water rationing problem as well. So with these issues, I don't know how they are going to save water from.
water crisis has been happening for quite some time, especially since I came here in February. I'm not too sure what happened before that, but it is a worrying problem. A lot of people are not happy about it because, first of all, it's KL, it's our capital city. It's supposed to be the most advanced, the most well-equipped, where people don't have to worry. But we are the ones facing the water crisis here. Back in Penang,
Yes.
that was never such problem.
And also it's been going on, and when there's no water, it will go on for a few days.
It does, which is why it's shocking that we have 4.2 billion liters of water
That's really
actually
huge.
being wasted
Mm-hmm.
when we are in dire need of water in the state or in this country for that matter. So they should really do something about this, because if they can save all this water, then there will be no need for water rationing. There will be enough water for everybody.
Yes, and the people live like people can bathe, people can just live happily without worrying about water rationing. And also from this online news called Straits Times says, according to the National Water Service Commission, which is called SPAN, non-revenue water accounted for 36.6% of all water pumped out of treatment plants in 2013, and or about 5.69 billion liters a day. So I would say that's pretty a lot of large percentage that we had. And also of this amount, at least 75% was due to problems like leaking pipes and other infrastructure problems as well. So I hope this particular issue can be solved as soon as possible.
So it seems that the water crisis is not because there's not enough rainfall, it's not because of anything else, but it's mostly due to the water wastage that's happening in this country. But even among us, I think we Malaysians tend to be a bit careless when it comes to water. We do waste water because it's quite cheap in this country, and
In
we
certain
take
areas, right?
yeah, we take advantage of that, and that leads to wasting. And then there's all this faulty piping system that's wasting even more water, and this affects the water rationing all over the country, and it'll probably have a very harmful long-term effect if this keeps going.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next we have another issues happening in Malaysia. That's correct. What's happening here about the smuggling drugs? They said.
Yes, we are notorious for this issue here when it comes to drugs trafficking. Even though we have a very harsh penalty in this country, somehow there are still a ton of people involved in these syndicates, smuggling drugs, trafficking. And of course, our best friend is Thailand, which is the easiest way to get things in and out of the country.
I mean, as much as we're just giggling about this issue, it's pretty serious to Malaysia and certain countries where it's been going on for some time. And this case, it's about this lady who actually hid all those drugs in the laptop power adapters.
Yes, this is a new syndicate, just like this, as it's reported here by the Star. People are getting really creative in their ways to smuggle drugs, because the conventional methods are getting old and people can detect easily whether you're smuggling drugs or not. So now they're coming out with more and more creative ways to do this.
They find more ways to hide all these drugs.
And now they're doing it in power adapters, laptop power adapters.
At first glance, they looked like just normal power adapters. And then they're powered more than just the laptops, because they were stuffed with shabu. Is that what you call it? Worth over 300,000 ringgit.
And acting on a tip-off, Kedah police at the Changlun bus station stopped a Thai woman from smuggling drugs into the country.
Oh, wow.
And he said that we felt something amiss because each adapter was so heavy. And when we cracked it open, we found compressed packets of shabu in several units, he told reporters at the Kedah police contingent headquarters here yesterday.
But then being creative with hiding all those drugs, I also read from the other article about this drug trafficking, that people not only hide in their bags, but people also hide in their bodies.
In their bodies.
Yeah.
That is another critical way of doing it. If you've seen Lucy, the movie.
Oh, yes.
How they actually cut her stomach open and put it in. That's actually been happening. I've come across so many news. It is a growing syndicate. And what's terrible about this is sometimes when these people arrive at their destination, before they get to the place that they're supposed to, sometimes the drug just punctures and they die.
Oh, and you mean it leaks the drug?
It leaks, yeah.
And affects the body.
And no one cares about them. You know, these people who sent them over, they're like, okay, this person died. That means I'm suffering a loss. Like, there goes my money. So why should I care about him? You know, why should I even bother to inform his family or something? So these are very saddening cases that's been happening all over the world, actually.
I think people just don't give much attention to those people who brings drugs in, because first of all, it's illegal from the first place. So people straight just think that, well, he or she is the one who brings the drug with somebody who she was contracted with. So no matter what happens to her, it's illegal.
And there's also not enough awareness, because these people usually just tell you like, oh, okay, like, Grace, I'm just going to put this packet into your body. You just have to go to this country. They're going to remove it, safe procedure, and we're going to pay you a ton of money. You know, that if you are poor, you're broke, that would sound pretty attractive to you.
And it's easy money.
The sad part is they don't know how dangerous that is. They don't know all this risk along the way. Like, it could get punctured, it could leak, and, you know, when you can just die out of that if you don't get proper medical attention, and nobody cares. No one knows what happened to you.
And this is pretty serious, because even this lady, she could be the one of them, you know, who was facing financial problems, and then she met this contract offer, and then she brought the drugs to Malaysia, and then she got caught because of these ordinary laptop power adapters looked not unusually light, or so they investigated, and they found the drugs from there. So Gowri, what do we have the next news here?
We have Philippine Muslim rebels opposing the Islamic State virus, which I think is a very positive news, considering the fact that ISIS has been causing a major worldwide stir, and a lot of countries, especially in Asia, if not Southeast Asia, have been actually volunteering themselves to either go join the ISIS in Syria, or even to, you know, join and spread the ideology in their respective countries. And some of the countries were like Indonesia. There was even one in China, and also a couple in Malaysia. And Philippines is taking a very strict stand against this. So the Philippines' largest Muslim rebel group has condemned these extremist jihadists in Iraq and Syria, and vowed to stop their spread of virus into any other Southeast Asian nation. And I commend Philippines for taking this proactive step to actually curb the spread of the ISIS.
And also, after decades of armed rebellion that claimed tens of thousands of lives, the Moro Islamic Liberations Front, or MILF, signed a peace agreement in March that commits it and the national government to share power in this area.
And the MILF also portrayed its moderate leadership as vital to stopping the ideology of Islamic State, infecting the southern Muslim regions of the mainly Catholic Philippines.
Catholic Philippines?
Philippines, a majority of them are Catholics, and it's they are taking steps to prevent this ISIS virus from spreading to any other Southeast Asian countries.
Okay, let's move on to the next news, which is not so bright news again in what's happening in India. India court freed 3 accused in Hangnagar's case.
An Indian court on Thursday freed 3 men detained earlier this year on suspicion of raping and murdering 2 teenage girls found hanged outside their village in a case that sparked global outrage. And the judge, Anil Kumar Sharma, ordered the men's release after India's top investigator, the CBI, said it did not have enough evidence to prosecute them.
So just because it did not have enough evidence to prosecute them, how about the people, the victims of the girl? How about the families?
They probably didn't have the education or the awareness as well. When you get raped, you know, we tend to take these things for granted, because like, if I were to ask you, like, what's the first thing you do when someone gets raped? Like, what would you tell them to do? We may not be aware because it doesn't happen to us, so we just kind of brush it off. And it could be in the case of these girls, they probably have the same mindset, like, nah, it's not going to happen to me. I don't have to know. So when it finally happens, they don't know what are the steps to take, and there may not be any civil societies or any organizations to help them out. And they probably waited a few days to make a police report or to do an examination, where we know in that case it's less effective to look for evidence. And
it's not only the girls, it's also their families and then people around them. They are not aware of how to protect them or what to do after the incident happens.
In India, it's pretty much like any other Southeast Asian country. We are still very conservative. We still have all this prejudice against rape victims, where they are given a hard time by society. They don't really offer a helping hand. I mean, there are, especially in Malaysia, there are, of course, countless of organizations that are set up to help women. But when you go back to society, they still have that perception, like, when people find out that you're raped, they immediately have this bias against you, and they look at you differently. And it's the same in India.
Like how we talked about before, like people just go and blame on victims first. Yeah.
And that probably what triggered these girls to commit suicide in the first place, because they feel like they're unclean now, they feel like they're damaged goods, and they could never get married, they could never be pure again, which is of course not the case. You get raped, that is not your fault. It's not your mistake, it's the perpetrator's mistake. But
in society,
there's so much pressure. That's the thing. So much pressure from family members, from society itself, from their friends, maybe even, and it can be really, really depressing.
As much as we can say it's depressing and it's unfair on the victims, but that's how society sees after whatever is happening to them. And also their release came days after 2 police officers detained on suspicions of involvement in the case were freed on the same grounds.
The worst part is that these 2 girls are only 12 and 14.
Yes, and they were found hanging from the tree in the village in the northern Uttar Pradesh state in May. And these girls were reported at the time to have been gang raped and murdered after going into the fields to relieve themselves, because their homes, like most in their village, lacked lavatories.
Seems like that's another factor as well, when they don't have the enough facilities at home and they have to go out to cleanse themselves or what, and even that can be very dangerous for women, it seems.
So it's either the society or the government has to really look into this matter to either educate the people or to prevent from these all incidents in the future. And it's not just the first incident here. There are lots of other few cases around India and also in this country particularly.
And India is a very large country, and there are of course a lot of remote villages, and it will probably take some time for the government to really reach out to all these people in every corner of India and help them out. But something has to be done, because India is unfortunately notorious for its rape cases. There was even one that happened a couple of years ago that also drew a global outrage about this girl who got gang raped, and nobody even helped her when she was lying on the street covered in blood. Nobody wanted to get into trouble.
It really saddens us whenever we hear news about all these incidents. And also, like you mentioned, this particular incident did outrage the public, the families and relatives and friends. And they indeed complained the police, but it failed just because they are from the lower caste.
And it's a gender bias as well, when there are men and women, especially in a country like India. I think in Malaysia it's the same case as well. Men tend to have a bit more power.
Yes.
Yeah, we are used to that patriarchal system. And when it's a man going against a woman, most of the time the court would cite the men, and especially in this case because there's not enough evidence to convict them. And the girls have to take the blame for this.
Yes. So we hope that this case will have a sort of improvement in terms of looking at this all these incidents and also other few cases around this country. And the next one we have is about in Thailand surrogacy scandals and laws. Gowri, could you elaborate more on this news?
Yes, this has also been happening for quite some time. We have this surrogacy issue that happened in Thailand. So what happens is the price to get a surrogate mother in Thailand is very, very low. And because of that, a lot of countries, and particularly here we are looking at Australia, where they they prefer getting the surrogate mothers from Thailand because
First, it's cheap.
it's cheap, yeah,
Yes.
and there are actually three cases here. One is of course the Australia couple who paid this woman to carry twins, as reported by ABC News. And when that woman gave birth to two babies, they took the healthy one, the healthy girl, and then they left the brother behind because who had Down syndrome, and that also became a major issue because you cannot just separate the babies like that. And they promised for her that
They will take care of the two
they will
babies.
take care of both. And then that poor woman was left with the baby, and she already, as it is, she had no money, and now she has to raise this baby by herself. And then just shortly after that, there was another case of they were raiding this apartment and they found at least 16 babies, and they were all believed to be fathered by the same Japanese man.
Japanese man, 24-year-old Japanese man.
That's right. And it seems that he wanted so many children and are trying to confirm reports that he is the son of a Japanese billionaire. And the third case came just very recently, where another Australian man was charged with sexually abusing twin girls that he fathered several years ago with a Thai surrogate. So in light with all these cases, Thailand has actually stepped up and spoke about this surrogacy issue, and they are actually tightening their laws. First of all, they said, we don't want this anymore, okay? No more. All you people who are not from Thailand, no coming in, no paying our women, getting them to be surrogate mothers. We're not going to legalize it.
And also the foreigners who come to Thailand for this particular issue, they're also banned from leaving the country itself. Apart from these three cases, it is pretty much saddened to how people actually deal with the human beings, you see. They don't really take the worth of the human being to themselves. They can just think easily, they can just get babies from Thai women, and they can just pay for the babies. They can raise them by bringing them back to their countries.
Surrogacy does have a lot of problems.
Yes.
And one of it is, like you mentioned, it's the basic right of a person. First of all, you're carrying a baby for 9 to 10 months. It changes your body a lot. You go through all these different hormonal changes and all. It's definitely not easy to go through that whole process of conceiving a baby and just taking care of yourself even for that 9 to 10 months. And then when you finally deliver the baby, and then this other person doesn't give you what they promised, and then now you not only have to fend for yourself, but also for that baby that you didn't even want in the first place. So imagine the kind of condition that baby is going to grow up in
all those countries. But here that I'm not so sure, but there were a few cases happening in Korea regarding surrogacy. When a man from Korea wants to have a baby from all those Thailand or the surrounding countries, they actually go through black and white documents just to make sure that they can take care of the babies, and this is an amount of money they will pay them. Monthly wise or yearly basis. So it's more organized, and then that will also prevent from having all these issues in the future.
And maybe Thailand can look to South Korea for a good model to protect the rights of the surrogate mothers.
Perhaps they can, but also we can't ignore the fact that we do have a lot of issues. That's why we came in with all the solutions. Yes.
And I think that wraps up our ABC News commentary for this morning.
Yes, and that was Grace, and I was here with
Gowri, don't forget to like us on our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes, and our website is at ASEAN.com, and please give us feedback. We'll be back.